I wanted to riff a little today about my entrepreneurial journey because I think this will help people who are very early on, who also have ADHD, maybe have a better sense and understanding, and also feel like somebody else has been in their shoes. So, right now, I have been full time for 6 years as an entrepreneur, but really, I got started when I was 13. I mean, I was stealing driveways with my brothers. We owned our own business. And then I was kind of always back and forth, like hopping into jobs, then trying entrepreneurial things that didn't work out, and going back and forth. The last job that I had would have been about 6 years ago. I mean, I was white knuckling it to work every day. I hated it. I absolutely hated it. But at that time, I also didn't know that I had ADHD either. So I didn't really understand or appreciate why I hated it and how much I hated it and how unusual I think that is for some people. I couldn't understand how people could just go and show up to the same job every day, doing the same exact things every day, and be happy doing this year after year. So I ended up working my way systematically out of that job. And that's kind of what I wanted to share in this video is just strategies or at least ways to think about it. If you are in a W-2 day job right now and you want to start your own thing and you have that ADHD wiring, how do you go about doing that? Well, let's first talk about the fact that ADHD has an impact on you in the way that you show up to work. What I found, at least from my experience, was I would have these, team meetings and I would show up to them and I'm on step 6 of 10 for this new idea. And then in the meeting, I got people that are showing up and they don't even know what the idea is, even though we discussed it beforehand. Like maybe we sent an email and this is what we're going to discuss. And they're showing up on step 0. That was infuriating. But then also the other thing was just like doing the same thing every single day. Like to me, an assembly line type job is the death of me. And once I got diagnosed with ADHD in my late 30s, I started looking backwards at my career and realizing like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. I had a lot of jobs that I would have 3 to 4 years. I did a ton of contract work. So it wasn't even W-2. I was technically a 1099 contractor. And I was kind of bopping around and doing different things every couple of years with those types of jobs. And I realized that I always thought there was something wrong with me. And the thing I thought was wrong with me was just like loyalty. And then also just like a sense of being an adult. Like this is what being an adult is. You get a job, you work it as long as you can. If you get a better paying job, maybe you can move to that one. But I always felt like the sense of like being irresponsible. And then I realized I'm like, no, that's not what it was. It was just I didn't have enough dopamine. Like as soon as the novelty would wear off at the job, I would just kind of check out mentally. And that actually makes a ton of sense now. So if you are in a W-2 day job, my recommendation to you right now is to figure out how you can automate that job as much as possible using modern technology. Now, some jobs this is easier than others. But the goal here is not to work less. The goal here is to move yourself from a W-2 position to a 1099 one. So the common phrasing terminology of this is to be a consultant. Now, again, this is going to be easier for some people than others. Like if you're working a job that is very hands-on and you're using your hands, it's going to be hard to automate some of that. But I think that what we have right now is essentially a major shift in the workforce. And this is the only thing in my lifetime, in my 40s, is when the internet came out. Suddenly, being the person that knew everything wasn't as valuable. Being the person that can leverage the internet was extremely valuable. Like if you understood internet marketing in 2000, like you could do just about anything you wanted at that point. That's where we are right now with all these AI chatbots and AI tools that are popping out right now. But I believe that sometimes with ADHD that I have to have a reason and purpose. Like if you're just like, hey, read this book and then pass this test, I'm like, I can't do it. But then you're like, hey, we have this really hard problem over here and I need you to figure it out. That's when I learn. That's when I'm able to connect those dots and really get into something. So if I was you, I would be looking at your job and I would start analyzing the work and try to figure out what parts of it could be automated with AI. And the reason you want to do this is you're going to be able to lower the amount of hours you're working. Maybe you have to show up to that physical space still, but at some point, I would fill your manager, your boss, the owner, whoever it is, in on what your intentions are and say, hey, I am trying to go towards an entrepreneurial path with this, but I'd like to continue working with you guys. So what you continue to do with that company, it could be the role that you had, but you're doing it in a fractional role. Sometimes companies like that better. They're like, oh, we have a fractional employee. It sounds better than consultant. Or it can just be a consultant. But I have done this path. I have moved out of a job. I ended up consulting for that company because I got it down to where I could do that job in 5-10 hours a week. The benefit of this is you get your time back. But the detriment is that maybe you're not making the same amount of money. Maybe you don't have the benefits that you had before, but you're getting your time back so that you can get other consulting gigs like that. And the reason I would focus on AI is because that is something that is applicable to every department. If you just end up becoming the person who understands and knows AI at that company and you're the AI guy or the AI girl, like that is going to be huge for you because every single owner is worried, just absolutely fearful of what AI is going to do to their business. If they're not, they just don't feel fear because every business owner I talk to is terrified of AI. They're worried about their workforce. They're worried about their competitors leveraging it better than them. So if you can be that person that understands it, you will have their ear. If you're like, hey, here's how I've automated aspects of my job. I think I can do this for other departments at this company. Now, yes, it's learning a new skill, but in my opinion, if you have ADHD and you are in a job and you're feeling burned out by it, it's probably because the novelty has left it. So if you can get entrepreneurial about that job and start figuring out AI with actual use cases, because I know for me, it's like if you just want to learn it for no purpose, it's hard. But if I'm like, hey, this is going to save me 5 hours a week if I can figure this out, then you start to build what is a transferable skill. And in my opinion, AI is the best transferable skill that you could be building right now. So what your 5-year vision for this might look like is you can start to build up in year 1 your skills and reduce the amount of time that you're spending at your job. And then at some point you're going to have a conversation with your boss and explain what it is you've been up to. And, try to do it in ways that there's guardrails. I know some companies are a little nervous about, giving out information to AI. So be a parent to that, right? Be sensitive to those feelings that people may have. But prove to them that you are the AI consultant that they need because you have insider knowledge and AI knowledge. Then try to either go for a promotion, but to me, it's better just becoming a consultant to that company that is the AI consultant. Then from there, do great work for them and then see if you can get other jobs. And the path that I personally would choose, but everybody's different, is get 2 to 3 AI consulting jobs. Then from there, and if you do a good job, it's easy. Like this is not a field like everybody wants it right now and nobody trusts anybody because there's so much just BS out there. If you are a proven commodity with this, you will find other work. Like it'll, in my opinion, it's going to be one of the easiest consulting gigs to pick up work if you know what you're doing. So then get 2 to 3 consulting gigs. Then start figuring out what it is exactly you want to do with your life, right? And when you have consulting gigs, you will have weeks that you're working 40, 50 hours a week, but you will have weeks that you're working 10, 15 hours a week. That frees you up to have the time to A, figure those things out, but B, start working towards that reality, all right? And the fact that you have now leveled up your skills using AI, you will be able to work more efficiently towards something that might be your own business outside of consulting. That is my advice, is to take that path. Too many times I see people, and frankly, it was me as well. You get into a job, you hate it, and then the self-loathing starts popping in, and you spend all of your time and energy maybe, hating on your coworkers or hating on this job or your boss or you're not paid enough and all these kinds of things. And when your energy is focused on that, you're not growing as a person at all. And what I did is I had a mental shift. And for me, it was because my boss kind of like, in my opinion, screwed me on something. And at that point, I was like, I'm doubling down. At that time, I was doing more YouTube affiliate work, but I was like, I'm going to double down on this side hustle and I'm going to figure it out. And because I started taking my energy, instead of complaining, I started actually producing and taking action. That was the point that I was able to then pivot and then start my own business. And that's what got me out of that W-2 9-to-5 hell. Because for me, I want to have full control over my schedule. I want to know what I'm working on. I want to choose what I'm working on. I don't want things dictated to me. And now The cool thing is I have a ton of novelty. I'm working on 4 or 5 different projects every week, and I like that. I try to make sure I don't go too crazy with it, but my goal, my aspiration, my hope for you is if you're watching this and you are in that job is that you start thinking differently about the job. Make it more entrepreneurial. Like, how can you make that job entrepreneurial itself? And then eventually have the courage to pull the plug and move into that consulting role and then continuing to progress forward. Because trust me, it's going to be a lot of work. And sometimes you don't want to do it for somebody else or some company. But think about it like the work you're doing is building transferable skills that will help you in the future. All right. Comment below. I'd love to hear your feedback on this. I want to understand where you guys are at and how I can help in any way. But I appreciate you guys watching. Subscribe. I'm going to be sharing more on the channel as well. And mostly what I'm going to be focusing on is AI tools to help ADHD entrepreneurs. That's what I want to work on, is optimizing your life with AI tools specifically for that ADHD entrepreneur. All right, guys, I'll catch you in the next video.